So, we said so far something about sustainable development. It was long, short. Basically, it's very short. Okay, you can say very, very many things. But I tried to put together, a few things that gives the framework of reference. So that we have we have to know where we have to move even as design. And in fact, here I start to speak about design. But before going into the topic of our core, which is system design for sustainability, I want to tell you something about the history of design in the course of the year, history of design research, design education, and design practice when dealing with sustainable development. So I will show you at the beginning how the role of design has increased in the course of the year, your role basically, and then I will speak about this evolution. So at the beginning I will say, because that was a few years ago, several years ago, about low environmental impact material and energy, product life cycle design, eco-efficient furniture system design, and design for social equity and cohesion. Then I will sum up this, telling what is the state of the art in terms of what we know about this, how this is disseminated. And finally, I would like to conclude saying something about the aesthetic, or what I call the pluralism of aesthetic for sustainability. So the increasing role of design for sustainability. Well, if we look at the approaches of humankind to sustainability, we can see this, that at the beginning, when the environmental issue came up to the debate, to the understanding, as we said before, the humankind intervention were, at the end of pipe, were after we have damaged something, like we pollute the lake, we clean up the lake. Then the intervention went on a process level. We start to speak about clean technology. So let's make those technology that don't pollute the lake, that we don't need to clean up. So upstream. Then, after the intervention went to move on a product and service level. Let's design those products that don't need those technology that would pollute the lake that we would need to clean up. And more recently again, the level of intervention move, and the discussion move even on the consumption level. We start to speak about sustainable consumption. So which are those consumption that don't need those products, that would need those technology, that would pollute the lake, that we would need to clean up, and so on. Alright? So basically to make it a brief history. And what is it showing to us as designer? Actually, the role of designer has increased. When we have to depollute a lake, it's not really a business for a designer. When we are speaking about clean technology, again, maybe we could say something, but it's not really our field of action. When we speak about developing products and services, when we are not the only actor, we are quite egocentric, but we are not the only actor, but of course we can say something. When we speak about consumption partner, again, we can say something. Of course, we are, I used to say we are this kind of a hinge within the production and consumption, between production and consumption. We have to figure out and understand how product could be well accepted, well designed, and so on. So, of course, there is an increase in the role of the design. I put in bracket potential, and you say why. Nevertheless, this has increased because it moves up to prevention, designing isn't prevent, because I design, if I do it at the end, I cannot, but if I design something, I can prevent this. If I know how to design, because there is the emphasis on the socio-ethical cultural dimension. So there is a responsibility both for the technical dimension. If I'm designing a product, it has to be with a low environmental impact, or a product service system. It has to be with a low environmental impact and with a good socio-ethical quality. And on the, let's say, cultural aesthetic dimension, we have to design such a product or product service system that is perceived as a better solution, as we said before, than the existing unsustainable products and services. But what do the design community worldwide knows about design for sustainability actually? And here I pour some example. I would like to know by you, so I stop my speaking for a little while. This is a carver seat. You can make me some question. Do you think that this is with a low environmental impact? This has been designed to be with a low environmental impact by a designer. Okay? I hope that the daughters or the, the father or the mother designer is not here. But actually, we will see later. I show you another example. This is a Savonarola seat. It's a walnut wood, so far 5-year lifespan, so we come closer to what you said before. And this has been designed without any concern about the environment. Or it was not the time to think about that. But if we have to think in terms of environmental sustainability, we have to compare this in relation to the time and the function. And so this, because you are seated there, okay, if that is a carver seat, as she said, maybe the second day, even though there is some glue, it will be maybe crashed down, or 3 days if you are quite politely seated, but it won't last that long, okay? Compared to another seat, the production of which may be much more polluting actually. Because cardboard could be recycled material, could be not using any glue, so it's correct. So the production process, it's in itself is much lower. Dispose of this, it's much lighter. Transportation is much lighter. So in fact, it could be with a lower environmental impact, but you cannot compare 1 to 1. You have to compare in terms of the function, because you have to be seated over there. And if it's a cardboard seat and I have to change it every day, for you to be seated there, I have to count all those chairs. And then the one, okay, the one of the cardboard is here, the one of the wood is here, but the wood goes this way for 500. This other goes up like this. And you could say to me, yes, but that is not that comfortable and maybe it's a bit too expensive. But how can I buy that? Okay, there are other chairs. Maybe this is not the cheapest. By Herman Miller, it has a warranty of 12 years, but it's designed to long, very long, with a good criteria for design for longevity, for disassembly, for many other things. I will save you a few things the next section, okay? So I made one example, I made another one. Let's see on the other. This is a pen. It's made with a biodegradable material from corn starch. And what do you think about this? No idea? Yes. There. Yes, we were going to see. You think it's environmentally friendly or not? Yes. And why? Mhm. It will biodegrade in the environment, and so you don't need to throw away. It won't be a no, it's biodegraded, maybe you don't recycle. It's a renewable material, so maybe it regrow. And this has been designed to be with a low environmental impact. But again, I want to compare it with another pen. It's a Mont Blanc. It's a, I don't know if you know, it's a famous brand. It has not been designed to be with a low environmental impact. It's, but again, if we can put, sorry. I just got this. If we, this is the good. If we compare this with the other, what happened is that the Mont Blanc, it has a rechargeable cartridge, so you can change it. It's even a very valuable product, technically, but even culturally. It's maybe it's my grandfather pen. I will save it for the rest of my life. It will last very long, all right? Compared to the other one. Once actually you use it, and maybe many times, imagine my mom, it's eatable. It will be not usable after a little while. And then when it's the time to dispose, you think you can compost it. There inside you have, anyhow, the ink, which is embedded into a plastic pipe, which is linked to another metal pipe. So it won't be composted for sure. So it won't be biodegraded. Whether in principle some part could be biodegraded. Okay? So this has been designed to be with a low environmental impact compared to a product that has not been designed as such, but is not at all. So they are two of the worst example of product to be with a low environmental impact, though several people think that this is so. And what about natural material? Are they always with a low environmental impact? I go a bit faster. You know, asbestos, amianto in italiano, it's a very natural material. Natural, you can find it very easily in the nature, okay? It's one of the most cancerogenic material existing, causing lots of death, lots of problem in the past. Still, we have to take away from our roof, from many buildings and whatever. Last year from the school of my daughters, so you have to be very careful and whatever. Natural material. So it's not all natural material are with their own environmental impact. But even you can say the cotton. Okay, the cotton, you can say it's a natural material. Okay, but the cotton, how you cultivate it? You use lots of water, maybe lots of pesticide and whatever. Is this with the low environmental impact? No, it depends. Let's make an assessment about that. Okay, we will not learn how to make the assessment in this course. There is another one doing that, but on product design. But but it's not. You can use organic cotton. Okay, then it's another story. So my conclusion is that actually, how many person really knows within the design community what is with a low environmental impact or not? And how many could really correctly design, not as those that we saw here a product with a low environmental impact. The truth is that, well, not all. There are lots of designers that are well aware, now even professor, but still, there are few within the design community that really very well know how to design with a low environmental impact the product. They are well equipped with the knowledge and the tools to do that. And so the point is that still today the design community in all is more part of the problem than part of the solution, unluckily. The situation is getting better, but it's still more part of the solution than part of the problem than part of the solution of environmental sustainability. So, said this, I want to tell you something about the evolution of sustainability within design. So that's why I said potential. Because potentially we have lots of things that we can do, but if we don't have the knowledge and the know-how of doing it, we will not do it. And it's really a pity. So, let's say in the 70s, the attention of the theorist and researcher and the designer was on selection of low impact material and energy. In the 90s, around the 90s, the attention moved on designing, not just selecting material, on product. And we start speaking about eco-design of product, or better still, product life cycle design, how to design product in their life cycle to reduce the environmental impact. Then in 2000 on, we start speaking about eco-efficient product service system design. This is something we are going to talk during this course. And then since 2005, we start speaking about design for social equity and cohesion. Some colleague from Brazil, Rinaldo dos Santos, one professor from Federal University of Paraná, I mentioned before, for council, he said that in Brazil, design for social equity and cohesion is much more advanced and it came before than design of product with a low environmental impact. So they had more attention to the social dimension. So it could be a bit different from different contexts, but basically the knowledge and the know-how come out in this way. So just few think about this. When speaking about the first topic, designing for the selection of low environmental impact and material, the issue was about the selection of non-toxic material, natural material, but with the ambiguity that I told you, recyclable material, even that with some ambiguity, because what is recyclable and what is not was not that clear, and renewable material, but again here, so we were speaking about the renewable material, but it depends in which kind of product is used and how it's used. If that was used for a plastic sack for organic waste, that's the best. So you take it, you put to the waste stream, and then it's disposed of as it's composted. Then it's fine. And renewable and biodegradable. So a discussion come out about that. As I said before, in the 90s, the discussion moved and opened up a bit to a product dimension. So we start speaking about product life cycle design. That means we understood that we have to design the product in relation to all the life cycle of the product. So the pre-production, the production of material, the production of the product, so transformation processes, assembly, finishing, the transportation, which is the transportation and packaging, the use, the consumption of energies, and all the maintenance processes and so on, the disposal at the end of life, so how this is treated, is it disposed of in landfill or incinerated, combusted, or whatever it is, or it is some part of use and so on. So it has to be designed in relation to all the phases of the life cycle in relation to another key point, the functional unit. You understood before that we cannot think about just a single chair as it is, because if the cardboard chair in the life cycle as it is, it's with a lower environmental impact compared to the Herman Miller chair, which is made of much more material, much more effective and whatever. But the factory needs to be seated for 12 years. In 12 years, you have one Herman Miller chair and I don't know how many cardboard seat chairs. So the functional unit means, and we understood this, we have to use a functional approach to this, that you have to consider this into the design process. Okay? So two key principles was understood during the course of this year. Okay, this is here written. As I said before, there are, if someone is interested, what I can say, there are other authors, and there are some books. In that year, another very important tool came out. It's called life cycle assessment. Is to assess the impact of a product in relation to the different environmental effect that we defined before. Global warming, acidification, eutrophication, acidification, all those. There are software, there are tools to assess this. So I can make a life cycle assessment of this computer, of this cap, of this microphone, and whatever, and I can come out with the results of what is the greenhouse potential of this product and so on. This is something that we are teaching in the other course on life cycle design of product. Okay, and when you deal with that, you teach about those. But they are very actually effective and useful. You know how to use them. They are not that easy, but they are really very important because they say scientifically exactly how is the situation. And there is a way in which you have to assess life cycle and functional unit. These were the two key points that were understood during the course of the 90s to make a good evaluation of product and a good design. And this is standardized for company. And we are, for example, when we are making consultancy for company for on product level, we make life cycle assessment and we use other tools to design them with our own environmental. And in the course of the year, not only life cycle assessment, that is one of the tools that can be used, different tools and methods has been developed. So now there is if someone wants to know how to design a product with an environmental impact, there is no, you can do that. No excuse. You want, you can do that. Study, but you have to find a good professor and telling the good tools and whatever, but you can do that. There is no alibi. You can do that. There is even an ISO that came out in 2002 that is saying something about how to integrate environmental aspect in product design and development. And then at the end of the 90s, we start studying eco-efficient product service system. So not just product, enlarging a bit from product to the mix of product and services that are eco-efficient, so that are at the same time environmentally and economically efficient. And that was a period in which some researcher, not only designer actually at the beginning, were looking at some cases like this one. This was one of the first, like Xerox, that they understood, wow, that they are making good business. But in Xerox, they didn't realize, but they are doing something great for the environment. At the end, they are designing to reduce environmental impact, as someone trying to do with life cycle design on product maybe would face a problem, some economical problem. And some of those cases, I just make you an example, so this is kind of an anticipation of what we are going to say in the next lecture. Xerox changed the business as usual by saying, I come to, let's say, to the Politecnico di Milano, and I'm not selling you anymore the photocopier. What I'm selling you is the printed pages or the copied pages. The photocopier remain in my ownership, say, like Xerox. Remain my own. You take it, you print it. When it's end of life, I will take it back. If you need maintenance, I will take care about the maintenance. You just pay per page. Okay? This was somehow convenient for Polytechnico that didn't have to buy, lots of photocopier. It's paid per page. Don't have the risk that maybe it get broken and then they have to pay our money that we're not forecasted and so on, blah, blah. But what is interesting is that since Rank Xerox, or at the time Rank Xerox, retain the ownership of the product and has to pay for the maintenance and has to pay for the end of life, what they are interested in doing. They are interested in doing long-lasting product. Why? Why? Try to guess. Well, I'm saying because I have to go faster. We will come to this way. Why they want to do that? Because since it remains in their ownership, who has to pay the new copy machine if it broke? They have to pay because they are paid per page. The customer, Politecnico di Milano, is not buying the photocopier. So they are not interested in selling one photocopier after the other so that it lasts just 2 years and 1 day after the warranty period. They want to have it that lasts as long as possible. They want to design something that could be some component that could be reused. You see there the image in other product, so that they don't have to produce new component to be introduced in that product and so on. If they have to collect it back, they will design those to be easily recyclable and so on. Because if not, they have to deal with the cost of landfilling. That was the cost of the Polytechnico on the other side. Now it's their cost. So why they have to pay something to landfill when they have something in home? If they design for disassembly, they can easily recycle some part, reuse some part. Why? Why not to design this in this way? Becomes an economic interest. So an economic interest goes hand in hand with environmental interest. A very short introduction. We will come to this in much better details and a very, very good understanding in the next section. So, starting from those periods, several definitions of those came out. And after a while, even about the role of the designer, so on system design for eco-efficiency. So the point is, okay, these are Xerox, like other, were interesting cases in which what happened? The economic interests of the provider pushed them, fostered them to develop products that are long-lasting, easy to be recycled, and so on. Okay, so this company would say to the designer, you have to design something that is with a low environmental impact. If not, I will fire you out because you are not making my economic interest, which is at the end an environmental interest. So a discipline of designing sustainable product service system come up, not only designing product, but because here you have to design the services and design something more articulated. So in those years, since 2005, new method and tools start to appear, and they were actually mostly financed by the European Union project. I was taking part of several of those, or the United Nations Environmental Program, and they finance some project about this. Okay, then more recently, the discussion, well actually it was already 10 years ago, move on to the level of designing for social equity and cohesion, so for the socio-ethical dimension of sustainability. Actually, if we look back to the past, this was treated not really exactly as an issue linked to sustainability, because that was not. But did you study a bit the history of design? You remember, at least in Italy, the movement of radical design, Gaetano Pesce and other designer that were actually making critics to the consumption society. They were even occupying the Triennale di Milano in some year against this consumption system and making some action of protest against this and so on. Well, actually, we cannot really say that we're dealing with design for socio-ethical sustainability, but they were putting into discussion actually the cultural habits and behavior that were going towards consumerism and so on. Other two very important theories that start speaking even earlier than what we can say now were Maldonado, I believe you all know, that wrote this design, was speaking about a new hope of the design, so taking into consideration the responsibility of the designer into the design action. That was a book in 1972, even against this movement of radical design. They were a bit fighting one against each other, as well as Papanek, I believe you all know. He wrote Design for a Real War in 1973, in which he spoke about and wrote about the social responsibility of the designer. To be honest, in my perception, with all the respect for those persons, but they were saying that there has to be a responsibility, but how this responsibility has to be transformed in a real action of the designer was not clear. Maybe it was not possible to say. It was already great to anticipate this. Okay? But now we can say this, all right? And there are two basic approaches related to this. One is related to product. So someone is working and researching and designing for the so-called BOP, the base of the pyramid. So designing product for very low income people. You know the base of the pyramid? It's a pyramid. On the top you have the very rich person. On the base you have the very poor person, but you have lots of person here and very few people here. So someone is saying, okay, I can anyhow I have a business deal because with getting little money, but from very very many person designing and offering product that are accessible to those person and so on. Okay, so someone has been working on this to come across to satisfy basic needs. Others, like for example me and another researcher worldwide, has been working more on a sustainable product service system. And this is something that we are going to work and discuss during this course. So coupling the eco-efficient dimension, the environmental, economic dimension, together with the socio-ethical one. And this more recently with a focus on distributed economies. Even these are a bit complex issue, but we will come later on. I just make you an example, not to leave it too vague the things, because in those years, product service systems were actually studied even to understand that was the United Nations Environmental Program that commissioned a project in which I was lucky to be involved to understand where a product service system could be an offer model interesting not just for industrialized context and for the environmental and social and economic dimension, but even for low income and middle income or emerging context, and so enhancing even the socio-ethical dimension of sustainability. This is a case we are again in Brazil. It's a virtual station or virtual office. You know what are the virtual offices? Okay, you can have your office You are a designer. But then if you want, you have to buy, you have to pay rent, you have to buy the computer, the copy machine, and many things. Well, in a low or middle income context, that could be difficult to afford, so how can I buy, so how can I start my small company? Maybe that could be difficult. If that is offered as a sustainable product service system, you are, as these virtual offices, you're actually here not buying the space. You're paying per period in which you're occupying a shared space. So you said, okay, I will be in my office, which is a shared space, from this time to this time, and I have all the equipment I need. I have someone answering for me. I have the meeting table for the meetings and whatever. Okay, but I don't have the initial investment cost that would stop me to do that. I can start my business paying per use, per the time I'm using this, which is affordable, and I can start my business. And then if I can start my business, I can start to have a revenue and so on, and so I can go on. Okay? So this is socioeconomically sustainable, but in fact, it is at the same time even environmentally sustainable. Why? Because we are sharing equipment. So one computer, think about the functional unit, is not used by one person, it's used by several persons. So instead of having several computers pre-produced, produced, distributed, blah, 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 you have one that is made, but it's used by different person. Okay? Maybe it won't last so long because it's used more intensively, but if you think about computer, anyhow, they don't last so long. They are disposed because of obsolescence. So it's good even in this. Here I make it short. It's just that we started in those years to study about those, and we understood that PSS was a business concept interesting not just for industrialized context and for the environmental and economic dimension, but even for the low and middle income context, and so forth, even for the socio-ethical dimension of sustainability. To give opportunities to low and middle income context, either business and consumer. We will see about consumer in another lecture, okay? The point is that I want to highlight here that in the history of design, that was understood. Okay, if this were the business model, of course, and here is the first understanding and the first statement of this was in this publication of UNEP in 2002, to give you an idea when this work came out. After a while, again, thanks to some EU-funded project and United Nations Environmental Program project, some design tools and methods and knowledge have been developed. Okay? So not just for designing PSS for environmental and economic, but even for the socio-ethical dimension. Okay? And so, even in those here, a definition means that it was presented that a new role for the designer exists. So it's just to say, hey, designer, you can do even this. You can design product services that are environmentally, socio-ethically, and economically sustainable. You can think even to those contexts, to design for those contexts in such a way, and you have tools to do that, and so on. Okay? So that come out in those years. And this is something, again, we are going to study. So if we want to draw the state of the art, I have here made a graph in which I put the level of consolidation from 0 to 100. Consolidation, it means that in relation to the different dimension of intervention of the designer, I know consolidated, I know all I need to know about that, and I have all the tools so that I can use it. So a designer, it's if he or she wants, can do whatever she wants. Okay. Zero consolidation, 100 consolidation. So this part we know everything, and that part is like a new research frontier. We don't know that much. On this other axis, the vertical axis, I put the dissemination. How these topics are into the design education or design practice. And you see by the graphic that the design of low impact material is quite consolidated and quite diffuse. So basically designer going to design school, which are toxic material, you avoid those, and maybe sometimes coming a new one, but you have to start. This is so. About product lifecycle design is quite consolidated, so we know we have good tools and so on, but the level of diffusion, I have to say, it's not really so diffuse as it could be. And we show some examples. So it is, but not so. When we speak about system design for eco-efficiency or product service system design, eco-efficient product service system design, we start to have some tools. They need to be more consolidated. The diffusion is it's going zero is up is a bit less diffuse. In the university, even because of the lenses project, we are starting to do a good work about that. But outside, as I told you, I made some consultancies with the company, but there are not really, we have to make still some work to have this diffused. For what concerns design for social equity and cohesion, this is more young discipline. Okay, so the tools and the knowledge still need to be more consolidated, and the diffusion in the practice is still quite big. Okay, so this is to frame a little bit the state of the art. Okay, so I come to the last part, and so we need definitely an aesthetic for sustainability. And definitely, we can say everything about the role of the designer when designing product service systems. Someone could say, oh, designer, go away. This is me. I'm the project manager. I have to deal with this more, service-oriented business model and whatever. What do you want? And I will tell you what to say to the businessman. That we can say lots of things. But about the aesthetic, listen, this is really our reality. If aesthetic is whatever, but with us, isn't it? Yes. It's not the only, but it's with us. And it's very important for the reason that I said. But I have to say and clarify a few things. The aesthetic has a fundamental role, but many times there is a misunderstanding of what is really the aesthetic of sustainability. Okay? I used to make an example of a product that I saw a few years ago in a fair of design product, and there was a section on design and sustainability and something like this. There was a telephone with the shape of a wave, like this, and it was made of a roughly recycled material, quite slippery in the hand, frankly speaking, very, and the bottom were quite difficult to be pushed, so it was really, was really ugly, okay? Really, and who would desire to have this kind of things? But it was linked to some, icon of sustainability. Because, okay, recycled material is, if you put, a paint, a little bit of recycle over material, then this is the aesthetic of sustainability. Okay? And then there are some color. Green is the color of sustainability. Everything has to be green. It's a boring thing. Why everything has to be green? But everything, yes, sustainable is green. And then sometimes, yeah, like a way, there are some icon, like the panda, the way. And so I find this awful telephone made of like a whale with a recycled material. I said, no, okay. This is what I call an iconic environmental aesthetic, like I hate it. I wrote there. If we think to a mass of green recycled panda product, we will end up, nothing. All right. Is this what we have to design? Is this the aesthetic of sustainability? Definitely not. It's much more richer, and luckily. And so what I call is more like a pluralism of aesthetic of sustainability. The point is that, first of all, you have to do a product that is with a low, or a product service system that is with a low environmental impact. And that you have to do with a low environmental impact. And you have to know everything. Definitely. And with all the knowledge that you need to know. And not fake product like the others. And you do that. Okay? And you're great in that. And you have been studying a lot. Because you want to have a better world to live. And for the others. Then, it's up to you to design this. The aesthetic dimension. It's up to you to decide how to do that. You will do in your own way. And you in your own. And you in your own. Who is saying that it has to be a green recycled panda? It's with the color you want. It's full of color. It's full of shape. It's full of whatever. The aesthetic is not just shape. It's made of many other things. When you speak about services, there are lots of other things. This is why I'm speaking about a plurality of aesthetic for sustainability. So you have to do products that are very sustainable, and no doubt about that. But then you can make it in the best way you can. With the heart of the designer that is creative. And you put all the beauty that you can do there inside. And that is so important as the technical dimension. It's very important. And then you succeed. And then we make it. But that is more beautiful. And it opens up your mind. And we make it. And you make it to succeed.